I'd like to call to order the Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting for November 15. Roll call.
President Zipfel.
Here.
Vice President Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Andrus.
Here.
Commissioner Rogers. Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
I'd like to ask Chief Bill Tierney to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. Thanks, Chief. Well done.
I do.
All right. Is there a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas.
Second.
Second by Vice President Hughes. I'll call a question. All in favor of proceeding with the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we'll move forward with the agenda that's in front of us. Consent items. Is there a motion to move the consent items in your agenda into the record?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Andrus. Those items are the Board of Commissioners regular meeting minutes for October 25, the Board of Commissioners workshop meeting minutes of November 1, the Treasurer's report for the month of November, and the bills payable, paid bills in the amount of $106,255.44, and unpaid bills in the amount of $372,154.24. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of moving those consent items into the record, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, those are moved into the record. Citizens' comments. Any citizens' comments on agenda items? All right. Seeing none, then we're going to move on to our first item of the night, which is a public hearing. This is a liquor license transfer request for Royal Farms at 935 Bethlehem Pike. And Mr. Solicitor, do I have to take a motion to get us into the hearing?
I'll take care of that.
Okay.
At this time, I will suspend the public meeting, proceed into the public hearing, and mark the following exhibits. T1 will be the applicant's request letter. T2 is the legal notice. T3 is a proof of publication. T4 is the applicant's extension letter. What we'll do is we'll have a presentation for the liquor license transfer, then the board will have an opportunity to ask questions, then the public will have an opportunity to ask questions. The board will not take make a decision tonight. We will close the hearing and have a decision on December 6th. At this time, Mr. Jordan, do you want to mark any exhibits for the record?
No, sir.
Please proceed.
Thank you. My name is Jonathan Jordan, Jordan. I'm with Riley, Riper, Holland, and Cala-Greco. My address is 717 Constitution Drive, Exton, PA 19341. With me tonight is Ralph DeSantis, Desantis. He's the operations manager for Royal Farms. And I guess I'd like to get Ralph sworn in if we could.
Come forward. State your name for the record. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay. Jordan?
Okay. I have a brief overview that I'd like to give, and then I'll ask Ralph if he agrees or has anything to add, and then we can open the floor to any questions, if that's
Sounds
okay
good.
with you. Thank you. So Royal Farms is a convenience store operator based in Baltimore, Maryland. They opened their first store in 1957. It's a family business. They've grown to approximately 178 stores, all in the Mid-Atlantic region. Royal Farms has 13 stores in Pennsylvania, including the store that we're here tonight to discuss, which is 935 Bethlehem Pike in Colmar. And there are more stores on the way. Royal Farms currently sells takeout beer and wine in Maryland and Virginia, but they don't currently sell alcohol in Pennsylvania. In recent years, the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board began to informally relax some of the regulations to allow grocery stores and convenience stores to sell alcohol. That was formally codified last year when Act 39 was adopted by the state legislature. And one of the things that Act 39 did was to make it possible for convenience store operators like Royal Farms to sell beer and wine to go. The stated purposes of Act 39 included wanting to, quote, provide for the operation of a retail system that promotes competition and convenience to ensure that the residents of this Commonwealth purchase products within this Commonwealth. So the Liquor Code provides that You can move liquor licenses within a county, but in most cases, you have to have a hearing in front of the receiving municipality. And that's what we've asked for, is a hearing on this intermunicipal transfer. We have an agreement to purchase a license that's currently in Abington, and we would like to put it at the store in Hatfield Township. The Pennsylvania Code, Title 40, Section 7.61B2, provides, upon request for an approval of an intermunicipal transfer of a license by the applicant, at least one public hearing shall be held by the receiving municipality for the purpose of receiving comments and recommendations of interested individuals residing within the municipality concerning the applicant's intent to transfer the license. This goes on to say that the receiving municipality shall approve the request unless it finds that doing so would adversely affect the welfare, health, peace, and morals of the municipality or its residents. So that's the standard that we're on this evening. If we get through this process with the township, we would then have to go to the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, and they have a very detailed and lengthy process that we have to go through to get approved before we could start serving alcohol. In the Royal Farm stores that currently sell alcohol in Maryland and Virginia, revenue from the sale of beer and wine is only 3.2% of overall revenue, and that's excluding gas sales. So if you added the gas sales in, it would be much less than 3.2% of our sales. Royal Farms has a policy of carding anyone who appears to be under the age of 40 who attempts to purchase alcohol or tobacco, and they scan or enter the birth date into their system to confirm that the purchaser is old enough to purchase the age-restricted items. On a monthly basis, Royal Farms sends mystery shoppers into their stores to test their employees to make sure that they're following the procedures. And if the employee doesn't follow the procedure, they're subject to termination. It's important to Royal Farms, over the 60 years that they've built up their brand, they have zero tolerance for violations of the law. I think it's also important to note that this store in Colmar has 39 security cameras that are monitored off-site by Royal Farms corporate office. So they're able to watch everything that's going on and monitor anything that takes place in the store. I guess the last thing I'd like to mention is that the Liquor Control Board has a regulation that all managers and employees who are involved in the service of alcohol must take what they call RAMP training. It stands for Responsible Alcohol Management Program, to learn about the state laws regarding the sale of alcohol. As I said, Ralph DeSantis is with us. Jeff Bainbridge is also here. He's the Director of Real Estate for Royal Farms. So does the board have any questions?
Before we get to that, a couple of housekeeping issues.
Sure.
For the record, the address where this license is being transferred from in Abington is what?
Where it currently is, it's at the Willow Grove Mall.
It'd be 2500 Moreland Road, Willow Grove. Is that correct?
Sounds right. It was in, there it is, sorry. Yes,
And the liquor license in question is R847. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And then in terms of the subject property in question, that's 935 Bethlehem Pike, Colmar, Pennsylvania, 18915. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you go over some of the operational issues? What's the age of the people that will be serving the alcohol? Will there be allowed to have alcohol being served and consumed on the premises? Any limits that you're opposing?
Certainly. Pennsylvania doesn't have a separate category of licenses for grocery stores and convenience stores, so we're getting a liquor license that's known as a restaurant license or retail license. So we need to be able to serve beer or wine on the premises, well, not wine, beer on the premises if somebody wants to, but we would cut that off after one beer. It's not something we want to promote, but for legal compliance, we need to do that. Nobody under the age of 18 would have anything to do with alcohol in our store. And in fact, at this time, we don't have any employees under the age of 18. There's an area in the store right now that has some tables and chairs where people can eat prepared food. This would be the only place where you could drink alcohol. You can't drink it in the parking lot. You can't drink it on the patio. Just only in the tables inside of the store, limited to one per person.
Hours of operation of your store?
The store is open 24 hours a day. The state has hours of 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. for sale of alcohol, and on Sundays it starts at 11 to 2. We probably wouldn't sell alcohol during all those hours, but we would play it by ear and see how it goes.
Do you have any facilities in Pennsylvania that currently serve alcohol?
No.
No other questions for me, for the board?
So you're saying that no one under 18, is that by law or by choice?
Well,
Serve alcohol?
by law, nobody under 18 can touch alcohol in a licensed establishment.
And you're not voluntarily restricting your hours of sale, you're just contemplating what those hours will be?
That's correct.
I have a few. You have 13 stores in Pennsylvania, is that what you said?
That's my understanding, Jeff. Is that correct?
And I think you said this is the first one that would have a liquor license, is that right?
We have applications, right now, we have one application in Delaware County.
Okay. Has Royal Farms been rejected by LCB for any reason? Is there any history related to Royal Farms that has made it difficult in order to obtain a liquor license?
Not at all.
How about in any of the other states?
No.
Explain to us, and I know this sounds like a rather elementary question, but for purposes of everyone who's here and watching, because we do tape these, what would you be selling when you say a liquor license? What exactly are we talking about? Not just beer, I assume, but are we talking about mixed drinks that are served to people on site along with the food?
No mixed drinks. On site, it would only be beer. There would be takeout beer and wine.
Okay, so this is just restricted to beer and wine.
Yes. The license is not restricted to beer and wine, but we as Royal Farms, first of all, nobody can sell mixed drinks or hard alcohol for takeout, other than a state store.
Because you serve food, and I mean your convenience location, so you actually serve it, but I mean it sounds like you have an eating area. Because you do that, my understanding is you actually could, under this license, actually serve mixed drinks, but people aren't expected to leave with them. Is that correct?
We have no interest, and if you wanted to put a condition, we would accept the condition. We have no interest in serving mixed drinks or hard alcohol there.
Okay, let's hold that thought for just because I'll talk to the solicitor about what ability we have and whether we're interested in having such a restriction. How about, I think you said the policy is that you're carding everyone over the age of 40?
That's correct. Everybody who appears to be over the age of 40.
Right, so
Under the age.
under the age of 40.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So is there going to be signage associated with that? Because typically LCB's signage says something over the age of 21, but are you going to have separate signage that says if you're under the age of 40 or appear under the age of 40 that you are going to be carded? Is that right?
Ralph is nodding his head, yes. Like I said, that's the same policy that we have for cigarettes.
Oh, okay.
And the Liquor Control Board has their own signage, but they also give you the right, if you want, to prepare your own signage and then send it to them for approval.
Okay.
So is that your intent, is to have a sign that says if you appear to be under 40, you'll be carded? Will that sign be displayed, or is that the policy?
It will be a sign.
Then how about, will there be signage letting people know that drinking is to take place in the eating area and not to be taken outside? I know it'll be a policy. I actually think that's probably going to be your biggest challenge operationally, is that you don't have people taking their beer and they decide that they're going to sit down and then they walk out the door, because the moment they walk out the door, they then have a different type of issue that they would have to, hopefully never have to deal with, but that's, open container issues. So are you planning on having some kind of signage associated with letting people know that they must consume the alcohol there and that they can't leave the building with?
Not only, yes, will we have signage, but we're going to vigorously enforce that because our liquor license could be suspended or revoked if we let that happen.
Okay.
Because we're only getting licensed in the cafe area, if you will, the seated area.
Right, right. Are there, you know, I know exactly where you're at, but I don't know, are there any, what's the closest residence to where you're at, do you know? Is there anything nearby?
There was a house there's an access road behind the store.
It's on the other side of the shoe place. There's
Okay.
there's houses right there.
Houses there, okay.
It's more than 500 feet. The 500 feet is the LCB standard.
That's the requirement, right? Is it 500 feet?
Yeah, you can get approved if you're less than 500 feet, but it's another layer of oversight that the PLCB gives to the application.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have. Unless
I
anyone
have a
else has
quick
any questions.
question regarding, you said that you're selling beer and wine for takeout, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you'll only allow beer for consumption. How are you going to stop someone from consuming the wine?
Well, it's going to be on our sign, and we would have the patron leave the store. I mean, basically, we can't serve you. I mean, if you open a bottle of wine, we're not going to let somebody sit there and drink a whole bottle. We don't want people to sit and drink in our store. Honestly, I mean, if somebody wants to have one beer while they're having a chicken dinner, that's fine. But other than that, we wouldn't allow somebody to open a bottle of wine in the store.
You're not going to encourage people to drink there, but you're not going to stop them then, right?
We'll stop them after one. Yeah.
Gotcha.
You'll be selling single cans and 6-packs, and what's the largest amount you'll be selling?
By law, we can't sell more than 192 ounces in a transaction. 192 is 6 pints, 16-ounce beers. I assume they'll be selling singles. We haven't really talked about that, but I noticed that some of the other convenience stores sell singles.
Will there be a separate register for the purchase of the beer?
Yes, that's a PLCB regulation. They have to have a separate register.
Okay, at this time, we're going to open it up to the public. If somebody from the public has a question, please state your name and your address. Any questions from the public? Seeing none. Before I close the public hearing, I just want to have you state on the record that you agree to giving us the extension until December 6th meeting.
That's correct. We agreed to an extension until the December 6th meeting. And also, just to make all of this formal, I'd like to ask Mr. DeSantis if he agrees with everything that I've said on behalf of Royal Farms today.
Before we do that, the condition that we talked about earlier, is that something that we need to address now, or is that just a part of the contemplation or the decision-making?
We'll give you a decision, and we can place those conditions, talk about those conditions if you want to talk now. We can talk about at the meeting. Formalize, obviously we have to talk to them in a public meeting.
Right.
But we can add them to the resolution. So probably, in abundance of caution, if you want to talk about the conditions now, it would be good so we can put them on written decision.
Yeah, I mean, how would we word that? Just beer, limit it to beer and wine, or do you have to put it in a different phrase?
Or do we have to specifically exclude all other types of beverages?
The liquor license will control that, what they can serve, what they can't. But if you wanted to limit no mixed drinks, I think that was a
Right,
condition
that
that you
was
were
the
talking
condition.
about. I think we could say that no mixed drinks will be served on the premises. Are you in agreement with that condition, Mr. Jordan?
Yes.
Are there any other conditions that you would want, assuming that you will grant it? It's not saying you will grant it, but if you were going to grant it, is there any other conditions? Okay.
And by the way, getting back, we're not allowed to sell takeout alcohol or takeout mixed drinks by law. So because we can't sell them takeout and because we don't really want to encourage anybody to sit and drink inside of our store, nor would anybody really want to. If you've been inside, it's not like a bar atmosphere or anything like that. So, I mean, we'll agree to the condition, but also on top of that, there'd be no reason for us to stock, hard alcohol since we can't sell it as takeout. So,
Okay, at this time, I will close the public
I'll
hearing.
suggest it later.
We'll proceed back into the public meeting.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. All right. Anything else, Mr. Solicitor?
But they were coming for the budget presentation.
You're not all staying for the budget presentation?
That's part of the terms and conditions.
Yeah, exactly. That wasn't a condition that we just discussed? Slipped in that condition sooner.
We should offer mixed drinks.
Or at least during this presentation. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. All right, so we have a couple of items to walk through before we get to the budget presentation. The first one is Resolution 17-20. Is there a motion for approval of the 1285 Moyer Road subdivision and the resolution associated with that? Motion by Commissioner Andrews, second by Vice President Hughes. Aaron, I think are you walking us through this one?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mr. President. As we discussed now several months in a row, Commissioner Andrews brought to our attention years ago, we have a serious parking issue around Schweiker Park, specifically when tournaments are being played in the weekend for softball tournaments. So we were in a position, thankfully, after months of discussions with the property owner identified in the slide, the township is in a position to acquire roughly 20,000 square feet, which is one buildable lot, which will then in turn create 32 parking spaces, which will provide relief for the residents in that area. So we've already agreed, the board approved the agreement of sale, the right of first refusal for that remaining portion of the property, which will really give us a nice parking solution, and hopefully in the next 3 to 5 year range. Planning Commission recommended subdivision, so tonight it's for the board to consider the final approval for the subdivision of this parcel, which will be created for the parking lot. And then over the winter, township staff will begin to do some of the prep work, and then we hope to have the parking lot built for the softball season in the spring. What the lot will conceptually look like with the 32 spots off of the local roads. That's all, Mr. President.
All right. Any other, this was discussed at a couple of other meetings. Any other further questions or comments?
Just one, I think in the budget, you're gonna show that we're putting 25,000 a year away for, open space.
Sure.
Will those funds be usable to buy that other property when it becomes available?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, now this will be year 3 of $25,000 contribution towards open space, which can be used for absolute purchases like that or other type of items. Good point,
Somewhat
Commissioner.
prepared for it.
Prepared, absolutely.
All right. If there's no other questions, I'll call the question. All in favor of Resolution 17-20, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Next is is there a motion for approval of the final payment for the Walnut Street Bridge of at $182,153.41?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Thomas. Aaron, I know these next two are kind of housekeeping items, but if you could walk us through them.
Sure, yeah. Items 2 and 3, similar in nature, both really good public improvements that add to the township. Walnut Street Bridge, as we talked about, and I'll mention again tonight in my slides of recapping the accomplishments of 17, but this is the final payment for the replacement of that bridge on Walnut Street. And I'll talk a little bit more about, in a little bit, about the reimbursement and the grant that the township received to offset the cost of the taxpayers. But this is simply a final motion to approve the last payment of the project. It is now completed.
All right. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Next is there a motion for approval with regard to the Broad Street sidewalk payment of $22,505.38?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Andrews. Aaron, is there anything else to add to this one?
Yeah, sure. And this one I'm going to touch on in the budget presentation as well, as far as what happened in 17. But this was a great example of a public-private partnership, which I'll outline. But this motion is simply a motion to pay the contractor. Those of you who've driven down Broad Street, you see that it's more walkable today than it was a few months ago, because of about 1,100 feet of sidewalk, which was recently installed with the help of grants and partnerships, which I'll get into shortly. But this helps just pay the contractor so we can move forward.
All right, questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. All right, our last and final matter. Why don't we have you do the presentation, then I'll take the motion.
But maybe we just do the motion and vote, just keep moving.
I'd be thrilled if you guys did that. Should tell me 2 weeks ago before I did 91 slides.
About halfway through, we're gonna do that.
At any point, take the motion. I'm fine with it. I
Choose
will
your
not be
best 20
offended.
slides is what President Hughes just said. All right, oh yeah, ball is yours.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
I will, I'll take the motion.
You want to take the
I'll
motion
take
after?
I'll take the motion after.
Okay. All right, thanks, Mr. President. Certainly honored to present the budget, the commissioner's budget, on behalf of the commissioners here in Hatfield Township. This is our, and I'm going to get right to the point which most of you have come out to hear. This is our fourth straight budget that we're proposing without any tax increases. I'll wait till the applause goes down. But certainly proud that we're in this position, and obviously a group effort, and not just with the commissioners, but with the residents and the staff. So an outline of what I'm going to go over here in the next 6 hours is budget process. What did we do in 2017, and what are the commissioners looking to do for the community in 2018? I'm working on it. I don't think I have enough hair for that, Joe. So timeline and just overall process. You know, the budget is a fluid process. It's not something that we just dust off in the fall and go over it. It's something that we work on. Dave Bernhauser in the audience, our finance director. Dave's looking in and reviewing revenues, expenditures on a daily basis. We meet with department heads monthly. We provide commissioners and the public statements on a monthly basis so everyone in the community can track exactly where your tax dollars are going and track the revenue that we receive. In October 18th, we had a public workshop in this room. It was standing room only in the audience. We got a lot of great feedback, which we were able to incorporate into the budget. Tonight we present. December 20th, the commissioners will be in a position to approve per all of the requirements of the first-class township code. So I'd like to first start off with just a big snapshot of what this organization looks like. And obviously, this is a customer service-driven organization with the ultimate stakeholders being the residents of Hatfield Township. The taxpayers are the ultimate decision makers by electing the leadership here, the 5 Board of Commissioners, as well as the elected tax collector. The Board of Commissioners then are in a position to appoint all the professional consultants that you see up on the dais on a monthly basis, and other consultants that help throughout the year depending on the project. They appoint the township manager, and they appoint other volunteer boards and commissions. And then from there, the township, the manager along with the commissioners oversees public works, finance, public safety, parks and rec, community development. Speaking of the boards and commissions, I just want to point out and show how many volunteer boards we have here in Hatfield to give a great illustration of how much feedback, how much input, how much partnership that we do. Also, just to realize how much coordination, facilitation from staff time, and a lot of good initiatives that we take on here in Hatfield. So just a list of them. The Sewer Authority, which oversees obviously our wastewater. Civil Service Commission, which oversees the hiring and the discipline issues with the police department. We have a great, very active Parks and Rec Board, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the accomplishments. We have a Planning Commission, a Zoning Hearing Board, a Pool Advisory Board, Shade Tree Commission, Environmental Advisory Committee, Industrial Development Authority, North Penn Health Hospital and Education Authority. We have a representative of North Penn Water Authority, and we have a vacancy board. So all of these boards are appointed, all of the leadership of all of these organizations are appointed by the 5 commissioners to my left. So when you look in the budget of Hatfield Township for 2018, and when you look at any organization's budget, that's where you'll see the priorities. It doesn't necessarily matter what people are saying, but if you look in their budget, you will see the priority of an organization. And when you look at the budget of Hatfield Township, it's abundantly clear that the commissioners are completely committed to keeping this community safe. 60% of this budget goes toward police protection and fire protection. Another 30% of this budget goes to infrastructure improvement. So we're paving a lot of roads, we're maintaining roads, we're fixing stormwater issues throughout the township. The remaining portion goes to Parks and Rec development, open space preservation, as well as the maintenance of all these facilities. So some of our accomplishments as we look at 2017, Police Department, which is led by President Zipfel and Vice President Hughes in the Public Safety Committee. It's led by Chief Tierney on a staff level. We are one of only 10% of departments in the Commonwealth that have achieved the accreditation status. Certainly kudos to Chief Tierney. We're now going into year 3 of that, and we're working through maintaining that status moving forward. Police Department responded to over 25,000 incidents in 2017. We have a continued successful partnership with Hatfield Borough, where the township provides police services to the borough, which we have now for years, and it has worked well. And also, the Police Department in 17, they've begun partnering with businesses throughout the community to install cameras to ensure a safer community, and we had some detectives here earlier in the year presenting those ideas. Some of the community policing initiatives. Community policing has been a trendy and has been a buzzword recently, but in Hatfield Township for years, the police department has been taking on these community policing initiatives on a daily and operational basis for several years, and will continue to do so even more under the leadership of Chief Tierney. So what exactly does that mean? Well, it means getting the police department out into our schools. We participate in a program called Crayola with a Cop, where our local officers head out to local schools and meet some of the children. It's important to build and nurture that relationship with the children of the community. As they grow, they can trust and respect and understand that they can reach out for help with the police department. It means JAVA, which is the Joint Anti-Violence Alliance, which is the Hatfield's version of Coffee with a Cop. Chief certainly made this acronym not the easiest one to roll off the tongue, but you see here, this is when our officers get together at a local business and have some coffee, and residents can come out and meet the police department. And I'm sure thousands of people lined up for that event, but we have them throughout the year, and it's been very successful. Community outreach. Here's Chief Tierney on a panel with 4 other police chiefs from the community, talking with a group of residents that had a lot of issues with opioid crisis, with some other issues of crime in the region. And Chief, one of the leaders in the area, was asked to speak at the panel and did a fantastic job talking to this group. We have a thriving neighborhood watch group, which is led by Detective Tinnity, attended by several people from Hatfield, 2 of our more well-known and more active residents that are here tonight. You find them somewhere. It's like a Where's Waldo picture. But a neighborhood watch group that meets regularly, that really adds value to the community, and a great way for our residents to get to know our police officers and ultimately make our community safer. We have a junior police academy. Every year, the police department put on a junior police academy. We bring in over 65 children this year. School Road Park, they spend the day with the officers understanding what it's like to be a police officer. They do things like blow up watermelons and bring in helicopters from Philadelphia, and they reenact certain chase scenes with canine dogs. It's a really good event. The kids love it. This is a picture with a Philadelphia police officer that came to participate. In 2017, we expanded our detective unit. We were in a position at the Public Works building where we had a tenant decided to leave, so rather than rent it out, we renovated it and allowed our detective to move into that facility. We thanked earlier in the year our IDA, who contributed $30,000 for these renovation improvements to offset the burden of the taxpayers, and now our detectives are more equipped and to investigate and solve some of the crimes in the area. Also in 2017, the commissioners here in Hatfield Township enacted an ordinance which will provide tax relief for our volunteer firefighters. If you're a volunteer firefighter in Hatfield Township in 2018 and you make $100,000 a year, you won't pay any earned income tax at all to Hatfield Township. And thankfully, the commissioners, and Bob Rogers brought this up about a year ago, the commissioners were behind this legislation. We sent a resolution to the lawmakers in Harrisburg. When the legislation was passed, the commissioners then immediately approved this ordinance to support our volunteer fire companies. Some of our accomplishments in public works this year, we've talked about this a lot publicly, is the conversion of LED streetlights, the PICO portion. So a portion of Hatfield Township we're paying now less for safer and more visible intersections and residential areas. We have a new energy contract, so we're buying energy less than we have in decades here at Hatfield Township. Hatfield Township's paving a lot of roads. The commissioners have shown a commitment to improving the infrastructure, and you can see that when you drive around our community. This year alone, we've invested over $650,000 in the paving roads and upgrading accessible ramps. You'll see that in 2018, we're going to put in over $800,000. These were the streets that were paved in 17. This is an illustration of since 2010 on all of the roads that have been paved in Hatfield Township. So you can clearly see over the last 7 years a significant amount of roads have been paved, especially given the fact that our three major roads, Cowpath or Villa 40-foot, are all state roads, which are not under the township control. We talked about this earlier tonight. We approved the final payment. Replaced the Walnut Street Bridge. Total project cost $1.3 million. Total cost to Hatfield Township taxpayers, $260,000. We're getting reimbursed 80% from PennDOT, which will offset that cost to the local taxpayers. Accomplishments, Parks and Recreation, the fun department. We had 5 concert series this year, Music Feast, led by Commissioner Thomas, and very successful. This was our final one, or second to final one, the Real Diamond Band, which we had over 4,000 people. It seemed like 10,000, who knows? It was a lot of people, packed concert, a very successful concert series. Look close enough, the guy who's pretending to be Neil Diamond has about one button on that shirt that's buttoned, so you might not want to look too closely. We had Rocktoberfest, an annual event, which a lot of success, came back to School Road Park this year, and was just a really great venue for families in the area. I know a lot of people in the room were at the event, and it was very successful. Put in new basketball hoops at the community park here in Hatfield Township, which you may see when you're driving back to the aquatic center. We put in swing sets at School Road. Sounds simple, sounds easy. This is just based on conversations actually with one of the Parks Board members. Said, why don't you have swing sets in School Road Park? We said, good idea. We put them in, and you can see as kids are enjoying those. We have a thriving summer camp program. Roughly 100 kids spend the majority of the summer with our staff, coming to the aquatic center, doing a bunch of programming, field trips. It's been a successful endeavor. We expanded pickleball in 2017. It all began in this room about 4 years ago when we had a group of residents show up and say, we play pickleball, we want somewhere to play. Commissioners said, let's put in pickleball courts. We put them in, we expanded, we converted tennis courts. 2018, we're going to do some more of that. Upgrade the aquatic center. All costs associated with these upgrades came from the profits generated by the facility, not from the taxpayers. We expanded the grounds. We put in the wall. This is probably the second most talked about wall in the world, but turned out nice. I think everybody's proud of the upgrades at the aquatic center. Not only that, we improved customer experience. We maintained the low rates for Hatfield residents, and it operated yet again at a profit, which we were able to put into the capital improvements. We have a successful running series here in Hatfield Township. You see President Zifo about to start the race of the fun run at the 5K. I think I took 14th in this fun run against a bunch of 4-year-olds. But we have 3 races, a 5 and a dime, a dash and splash, and a half marathon, all doing well, roughly 1,000 runners, all 3 series. We have several volunteers who help us out for those events as well. We have a golf outing, our 18th annual this year. We raised roughly $10,000 for the Parks and Rec Department. These are 4 of Hatfield's finest joining us. Hatfield's finest police departments, not Hatfield's finest golfers, as we saw that day. We have our Fire and Ice Festival. This is what happens when you don't attend the budget meeting. You see Commissioner Rogers, who, braver than I ever am, but went down and took the polar plunge in about 30-degree temperature. Again, a fundraiser in years past. All proceeds of this event would go to Man on Main Street or some other local food banks. We had our mini Monster Mania. I guess you show up to the meeting, you still get pictures of me, but Second annual Mini Monster Mania. We had about 100 children in the room for a Halloween event, which had a lot of success. We've Dogapalooza now for 7 straight years, which the easiest day regarding customer service at the Aquatic Center by far. No complaints, just a lot of barking and a lot of happy customers. But a great event. If you have a dog, come on out. Clemens Park is being expanded. We talked a lot about it. This year, the committee that was set up per the requirements of the grant went through an exhaustive process, meeting with residents, meeting with stakeholders, and roughly the final plan will look a little bit something like this in 3 phases, where we're going to get more fields, we're going to get more parking, we're going to get a better layout, we're going to get an amenity that we do not currently have, which is using a stormwater basin and turning it into some type of pond where we can have fishing, which we could create some great experiences and memories with, the grandparents and children learning how to fish for the first time. But a great use, and we're just going through the planning phase, and over the next few years we'll go into construction, but some exciting times when it comes to the parks in Hatfield. We've had a ton of success with grant funding over the last few years, and now we're starting to see the fruits of all of that labor and that success. The realignment of Cowpath Orvilla, which is our #1 transportation initiative that we have been going after now for years. The design is essentially final. And now we are just hopefully days away from hearing from PennDOT whether or not we receive additional funding. Harrisburg has been announcing now awards for several other grant programs within the last week, so we hope to hear something any day now. A year ago, we received $900,000 grant to synchronize all of the traffic signals on the Route 463 corridor, which is 11 signals from Welsh Road to Line Street on 40-foot and Cowpath. Engineer work is being done. We're about a year away from actually seeing that project begin, and the improvement of traffic should happen at that point. Obviously, Cowpath, we all know, is an issue when it comes to traffic. We can't build a bridge. It's not feasible to widen, but what we can do is make those signals efficient and synchronized and working together to move traffic more efficiently. We're improving Frick's Trail. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, but this is the concept plan for Cowpath and Orvilla. For those of you who've paid attention, you've seen this many times, and we've had the residents in the area. So that's the design. These are the 11 signals that will be synchronized, which we hope will make a huge difference. We're told from other towns that have gone through projects like this that they have seen a significant reduction in congestion. So we are excited to see that at the end of 2018. Frick's Trail pedestrian crossing will go in at Orvilla. Currently, we have the new ramps that were put in this year on both sides. The crossing itself is not in because there is no trail, but I am happy to say that the trail will be going in 2018. Maple Avenue, before you'd walk out the Chestnut Street Trail and you would be faced with this, now you have a nice new sidewalk to walk on to connect you to the remaining portion of Chestnut Street Trail. Broad Street improvements, like I said before tonight, a great example of a successful public-private partnership. We had 4 parties. We had the federal government, we had PennDOT, we had the Township, and we had Mr. Paul Delp from Lansdale Warehouse, all working together, all sharing the cost of these sidewalks that went in on Broad Street in the last month. We have stepping stones that are going in any day now. They were supposed to be in when I put this budget presentation together. Any day now they'll be in to help residents along the Frick's Trail walk onto the Frick's Church. And that will be open to the public as well. So this, we awarded a proposal recently, and this should be done within the next few weeks. Some of the accomplishments from a financial perspective, led by Commissioner Andrus and our Finance Committee. Again, for several years in a row now, our expenses are coming in under budget. Our revenue is outpacing our expenditures, which is what every organization wants to see. Our bond rating has been reaffirmed yet again at AA-, which is just one step down from the best that you can get, AAA. There's only a handful of towns in the entire state that have a AAA, and it's because they have a much larger population and a bigger tax base. We've increased our emergency reserve account. Going into 18, we're up to now $500,000, something we initiated just a few years back. Fund balance has increased, and like I said before, we reduced our cost of energy. All right, so now we're going to slide into the 2018 budget. I'm going to use as many pictures as I possibly can in this. So looking at 18, total budget, we have revenues shy of $14 million. Our expenditures are just under that. This is a line by, or a fund by fund outline of what we're doing in 2018. I'm not going to get into the specific numbers. At any point, if any resident wants to see every single line of revenues and expenditures, it's included in tonight's packet. It will also be posted in the lobby and on the website after tonight. So primary sources of revenue for Hatfield, which is similar to pretty much every local government, give or take a few different components. But real estate taxes are our largest source of revenue here in Hatfield. In Hatfield, we do not have a business privilege tax like other towns do, so we cannot rely on that revenue. Real estate tax, earned income tax, which is the half of 1%. Local service tax, which is if you work in Hatfield Township, you pay $52 a year to the town. And then the state of Pennsylvania, we receive significant aid funding for pensions, for paving roads, and for firefighting services. Hatfield Borough, another large revenue source because of our partnership providing the police, and Hatfield also offsets some of the debt at the Aquatic Center. So this, again, just illustrates that in a pie chart to give you a sense how important real estate taxes are under the current structure. So where are your real estate taxes going? Again, no increase for 2018 in Hatfield, but for every dollar you spend as a Hatfield Township taxpayer in real estate money, 81 cents of that dollar goes to the school district. 10 cents of the dollar goes to the county to provide its services, and 9 cents goes to Hatfield Township. It's important to illustrate, it's not as if North Penn is doing anything wrong. This is a breakdown that you'll see pretty much in every town. It just costs more to educate than it does to provide the services that we do. But it is important to illustrate this at least once a year, because we do talk to residents that are irate at certain things, and they tell me they spend $10,000, $12,000 on taxes for the township, and why aren't they getting X, Y, and Z? Well, the truth of that is 80% of that's going to the North Penn School District. Only 9% is coming to Hatfield Township. Village breakdown stays the same now for 4 straight years. General funds the majority of where the taxes go. But you see the debt service, the fire, parks and rec are the remaining portion. Village comparison between these are all the towns in the county, all 64. You see the residents are at the bottom half of where other towns' tax rate is throughout the county. Businesses are a little higher because we have an aggressive homestead exemption. So every resident that lives in your property, you can take off $70,000 from your assessed value, which obviously gives you a significant reduction. So just an example of what you pay to Hatfield Township. If you have an assessed value of 140, our median assessed value is just shy of 150. You pay $365.47 to Hatfield Township. Our income tax is the half of 1%. School district gets half, township gets half. Median household income in Hatfield is roughly $63,000 based on the 2010 census. So that's another $317 that comes to the township. The breakdown of where this money's going, like I said earlier, 60% of it goes to public safety. You see police always take the largest portion, which is very standard in every town, and then followed by the infrastructure, public works, as well as other functions. So overall taxes, not just real estate taxes, but I thought this was interesting to illustrate here. Overall taxes, income and property taxes, where are Hatfield Township taxpayer money going? Now this is based on, you can do this in many different ways, but this is based on a married couple in Hatfield Township with 2 children filing their taxes jointly with a median household income and a median household assessed value. You'll see that obviously the lion's share of your taxes are going to go to the federal government and to the North Penn School District, where Hatfield represents just 7% of the overall tax picture. Now, obviously, if your income is significantly higher, then the portion to the federal government will increase accordingly, since the North Penn School District is just collecting your real estate and half of your 1% earned income. All right. Before we get to that one, don't want to scare you. So for that 7% of your total tax picture, roughly $729, roughly $60 a month, what do you get in return for your investment to Hatfield Township? First of all, you get a police department that's accredited, led by Chief Tierney. You get fire protection, 2 volunteer fire companies. You get a public works department, which does snow removal. This year alone, repaired 100 inlets, put down 50 ton of asphalt to repair the roads, crack sealing, 70 lane miles maintained, line painting throughout the township. We maintain 19 traffic signals, 4 school flashers, 4 bridges, maintain and mowed 176 acres weekly. Provide recreation programming for not only kids, but for seniors throughout the community. We have an award-winning aquatic center here in Hatfield, which was named that by several publications. We have a large school road park. We have Clemens Park. We have Schweiker Park. We have a community park. We have a Walnut Street cabin. We have a tree nursery. We have Melody Brook Park. We have a nature preserve. We have Stratford Park. We have a dog park. We have a township arboretum. We have a street hockey court. We have preserved open space. We have a Chestnut Street Trail. And we have Frick's Trail. So for your $60 a month investment into the community, I think the commissioners have done a fantastic job over the years providing a really good return on that investment. So some of the highlights of the 18 budget looking forward. Overall expenses only increasing by 2%. Pension costs only increasing by 1%. We're increasing the police staffing. We're buying a dump truck for Public Works. We reduced the health care costs. We're buying a generator to make our new detective offices a 24/7 facility, and we're expanding pickleball. Not only that, we're going to buy 2 police vehicles. We're going to expand parking like we talked about earlier at Schweiker Park. We're going to finally build Frick's Trail that we've said for now 4 years straight. We're going to build it. This time I'm being serious. But we have a permit for half of it already from DEP, and we expect the other half coming this year, this calendar year. We're going to improve the dog park. We're going to put a water line there, put water fountains in for the dogs and for the people. That can also be used for the pickleball courts. Better lighting to make it safer. We're going to unroll a new website in 2018 for Hatfield. We're updating our website that we've been working on. This is just a snapshot of what it may look like, and we're going to talk about it more publicly in January. But what was fun about this process is not only we get to modernize our website, but we really got to create and develop it based on actual data from the last 5 years of where are our users, where are the people that are coming to our website, what do they want, what are they looking for? And Justin, our IT director, did a great job of putting together all that information to really designing it in a way that is user-based and will accommodate the needs of the people coming to our website. So we're excited, and we'll talk more about that publicly in the next month or two. So what happens now? We post the budget in the lobby. We put it on the website. The board will hopefully approve advertising. The ordinance be advertised in the newspaper. Everything's available here as well. And then we have a certain amount of time that we have to wait per the code. And then in December 20th, the board will consider approving this budget, which includes no tax increase for 18. And finally, on behalf of the commissioners and the staff, we are honored to serve and protect this fine community. Thank you for your time, commissioners. That's all I have.
Wow, who wants to start? I'll start. Last few years, each time you do this, I'm certain that everyone else up in the dais here feels the same, is that we continue to be wildly impressed at not only the work that you do individually, but the entire staff, we think, and hopefully we recognize you and your staff enough publicly so that you know that what a great job you do, and that you deserve every bit of the credit for running this township. People come to me and ask me all the time, they think ours is a paid position. Ours is not. It is a volunteer position. When I say we, I mean the 5 commissioners who sit up here do not run the township. We are decision makers. We are, what I consider us anyway, high-level decision makers. The people who run the entire township, it starts with Aaron, and then his entire staff, and Chief, for example, has the police, and Dave is here. They run the township. They do the heavy lifting. They do all of the work. They truly deserve all of the credit. As every single time Aaron just said, the commissioners did a particular thing. Yes, maybe we were ultimate decision makers, but it's normally based on wonderful recommendations from Aaron and the entire staff. And so really on behalf of the commissioners, and really the township. You're doing a fantastic job. The township is running very well. We're pleased with this budget. We've had a number of meetings about it already, public meetings about it. Very pleased to be able to provide the same services and improved services without a tax increase for 2018. And just really on behalf of all of us, Aaron, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Anything else? Any citizens' comments on the budget? You can do it a little later, and we have citizens' comments in a minute, but if you want to specifically mention something now, I'm happy to take that. If not, what we'll do is we'll actually move on to the motion to advertise. Is there a motion to advertise the ordinance for the budget adoption and maintaining the tax rates for 2018 based on the presentation of the 2018 draft budget that you just saw? Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Andrus. Any other questions or comments by commissioners or others? No? All right. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Now, folks, this is not approving the budget. This is the advertisement of the budget. And then, as Aaron had mentioned earlier, we would adopt, is it December 20th?
Yes.
Okay. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion to advertise, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we can advertise the budget as proposed. Again, thank you. Fantastic job, not only tonight with the presentation, but throughout the year for all the work that you and the entire staff do. All right, any citizens' comments? Oh, not seeing any citizens' comments, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the evening. Motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Andrus. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thanks for coming out, folks.